What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monte Sports Show. It is Sunday, December 20th, 2020. I am your host, Monte Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. It is our Christmas spectacular show, our Christmas extravaganza spectacular show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in last week. We had 35 states across the country watch the full Monte YouTube show live and throughout the week. Look, our goal is to do this 5 days a week, and I can only do this with your help. So if you like this show, you like sports and comedy, definitely tell a family member, tell a friend. Normally, what we do is I start the show as a former comedian, telling you a story about my life, whether it's dating, when I used to be in the restaurant, working out, whatever. I am not going to do that this week because we are jam packed, loaded with guests. In about 15 minutes, Chris Rosevaglu is going to join us along with John Meyer to talk about the Saints and the Chiefs in an epic late season matchup. Then we're going to have the other George Lopez come on and join us, talk about USC football, college football, the Rams, and a little bit of Laker talk. And at the top of the hour, our co-host, Rico, Show Me the Money Graziano, is going to join us. Rico has 10 winning weeks, only 4 losing weeks against the spread. He lost to me in fantasy football. I am up 9-5. So you definitely want to check out Rico. He's going to be joined by Levi Charteroff for an NFL roundtable discussion. And again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. This is our Christmas extravaganza show. Going to post some lovely holiday photos throughout the show. But let's start today like we always do. With the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's start with the good. Giannis Antetokounmpo, a.k.a. the Greek Freak, signed a 5-year, $228 million contract. That's right, 5 years, $228 million contract. He is 26 years old. Look, I have nothing but love for Giannis. He obviously, deserves this. Whether he should have stayed in Milwaukee is a totally different topic. But one of the things we're seeing with European players is they don't like to leave teams. One of the things Giannis said, he goes, Milwaukee was loyal to me. They helped me and my family. So I'm going to be loyal to them. If I'm him, I would have left. Milwaukee is not a hotbed for free agency, but congrats to him. $228 million, 5-year deal. He's being rewarded for all his hard work. And that's what life's about, right? Life's about working hard and being rewarded. So there's the good. Now, let's move to the ugly. James Harden reported to training camp. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's Pablo Sandoval. James Harden returned to camp. Houston Rockets training camp. And look how big James Harden is. Look how big he is. Look, guys, I'm just going to come out and say it. This is not fat shaming. But when you come into camp 40 pounds overweight, you got to be called out for it. Someone, and I don't know who did this, but it's absolutely hilarious. Someone said that James Harden is like Christian Bale transforming his body to win an Oscar. I mean, James Harden is enormous. And what's even worse about this is James Harden, we're now finding out last year, would miss practices so he could fly to Vegas for parties, would be late for film session. Russell Westbrook would say, hey, let's start the film. Mike D'Antoni would say, no, we got to start it when he comes back anyway. Disgraceful. Anyone who takes James Harden is just welcoming a cancer into the locker room. Again, grossly overweight, just doesn't want to win. James Harden wants to score, and then he wants to go out and party. So if you're an organization, stay away from him. And now finally to the ugly. Look, we have been saying this from day one. Okay? We have been saying this from day one. Gordon Hayward left the Celtics for the Charlotte Hornets for a 4-year, $120 million contract. Michael Jordan gave this guy $30 million a year. And here's the problem, guys. Gordon Hayward is not even a top 30 player. He's not. I can name 30 players. I won't do it because we don't have time. I can name 30 players in the NBA who are better than Gordon Hayward. And now Gordon Hayward hurt. He's hurt again. Michael Jordan has been the worst decision maker in the entire NBA for a decade. And no one calls him out on it. No one calls him out on it. The only player he drafted that made an all-star team in over 10 years was Kemba Walker. I mean, this is the guy a guy who can't stay healthy. You give him $30 million for 4 years. And now Gordon Hayward's hurt again. Michael Jordan, as good of a basketball player as he was, he's equally as bad as a decision maker. He's equally bad as a decision maker. Disgusting. He gets a pass, and I have no idea why. And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just want to remind everyone, anytime we mention one of these, and we will be mentioning them quite often today, you take a shot, take a sip of your coffee, mimosa, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. This is our drinking game. And also, number 3 trending on YouTube, the Full Monte Sports Show. Number 3 trending on YouTube. All right, we go around the league. So if you live in LA, if you live in Milwaukee, if you live in Chicago, Florida, New York, we got you covered. I break down every game in the NFL on the docket. That is not what the guests talk about. I am 70 games above 500, 110, 40, and 1, 70 games above 500. Let's get to it. Look, just going to say it right now, 8-5 Bucks. They are who we thought they were, right? The Bucks are who we thought they were. They are 8-5. They are 8-5, and they're going to probably be 11-5, 10-6. They play the 4-9 Falcons today. I like listen, Atlanta hasn't been the same since they blew the 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl to actually Tom Brady's New England Patriots, but I like the Bucks here, 30-17. Big game right here. New England Patriots 6-7 against the 8-5 Miami Dolphins. Look, rookie quarterbacks are 7-21 against Bill Belichick. He owns them. If the Patriots win this game, they're back in the playoff picture. But here's the deal. Everyone talks about Bill Belichick and how he dominates rookie quarterbacks. But can we talk about the Miami Dolphins defense, who's making quarterbacks turn the ball over left and right? Cam Newton has been terrible. Cam Newton is playing himself out of the NFL. By the way, Marcus Mariota on Thursday night played himself back into the NFL. Cam Newton is playing himself out of the NFL. We know that Bill Belichick is great against rookie quarterbacks, but I'm taking the Dolphins here in an ugly game, taking the Dolphins 21-17. 5-8 49ers against the 4-9 Cowboys. Dallas has won 5 of 6 against the 49ers, but I like the 49ers here. I think they make it difficult for Andy Dalton, and I think the 49ers win an ugly game. And I'm going to say something here that's going against the grain. I think this is a high-scoring game. I'm going to take the 49ers in a game that's filled with turnovers, 31-27. 6-7 Bears at the 6-7 Vikings. Listen, I got to be honest with you. You know, my friend Andrea, oh, you got to talk about the Bears. They beat Houston, blah, blah. Listen, I have no faith in Mitchell Trubisky, but I do have faith in Dalvin Cook. So I'm taking the Vikings here 24-17. Trubisky turns the ball over late in the game, and that's how the Vikings win. Now, the 1-12, it's so hard for me to even talk about this game because it's the 1-12 Jaguars who have lost 12 straight after finishing first against the Baltimore Ravens, who are 8-5. The Ravens are coming off an emotionally draining win against the Browns. but I expect the Ravens to score over 34 points. They have scored 34 points in 2 straight games or more. I like the Ravens here with the exact score, 34-17. Look for Lamar Jackson to rush for 1 or 2 touchdowns. 5-8 Lions at the 9-4 Titans. I'm just going to call everyone out. If you had Derrick Henry and you're not in fantasy football playoffs, you're a terrible GM. You're a terrible GM. This guy has been, I don't even have him. I have him in one of my leagues. I'm in the playoffs in all 4 of my leagues, but that's just how I roll. By the way, there's nothing you could do to alienate an audience more than talk about your own personal fantasy football league, which I just did. So I'm going to stop. But look for the Titans. Listen to this. Titans have averaged 35 points per game since week 11. That is the most in the league. And the reason why Derrick Henry is just dominating. So I'm going to take the Titans here in a blowout, 38-24. 4-9 Texans at the 9-4 Colts. If you don't have Jonathan Taylor, if you do DraftKings, FanDuel, start him. Jonathan Taylor is now starting. The rookie out of Wisconsin is starting to really be the best rookie running back in the NFL right now. I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire is better, but they've limited his touches where the Colts are now riding Jonathan Taylor. So I like Indy here, 30-20. The Indianapolis Colts are 9-4. They're the best team no one talks about because Phillip Rivers is a game manager, but they're pretty damn good. They're pretty damn good. All right. Listen, I'm going to save that. I'm going to save all that, those pictures there for the next one. But I just want to talk about the Steelers here against the Bengals. The Steelers are going to get right this week. And we're going to talk about with Rico Show Me the Money Graziano. The Steelers are going to get right this week, but they are a struggling 11-2 team. I know, Monte, you are what your record is. Yes, but remember last year the Miami Dolphins were struggling to get wins, and I said they're better than their record is. And look at the Giants this year. When the Giants lost, were like 1-5, I said the Giants are better than their record. They just don't have the talent. The Steelers they can't run the ball, and their defense is decimated. They'll win this game, but I have no confidence in the Steelers and Big Ben come the postseason. And there you have it. My NFL picks for the week. Again, I am 70 games above 500. 70 games above 500. So let's do something we love to do, and that is spanning. The crowd love to do this. Always fun to read the comments. So yeah, I agree with you here, Andrea. Yeah, Ravens are starting to play better. Listen, they struggled early on. But I think the Ravens now getting healthy with COVID. It's been a crazy year. All you got to do is get the playoffs. And I think Lamar Jackson is now playing with confidence again. He wasn't playing with confidence when they were struggling, but I think him taking a few weeks off, he's got Andrews, Hollywood Brown, their wide receiver out of Oklahoma, is playing well. So I agree with you. I think that the Ravens are really starting to make a playoff push. And I'm getting text messages from people saying that we're struggling to talk in the chat line. So we'll try to get that fixed. But while we do that, let's bring on. I gotta compliment you right now, my friend John. Look at that.
I thought this was a Christmas extravaganza show.
That is awesome. You got the lights. You got the championship. We're having a little trouble seeing you right there. Does it appear blurry to you?
It doesn't appear blurry to me. Is that what you guys are getting on your end?
I'm getting a little blurry. Yeah, that's a little better right there. And listen, I want to thank you right now. I got your beautiful card. So thank you so much. Got it in the mail yesterday.
Awesome.
So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to you. Thank you so much. We're just waiting for Chris to get on. John, real quick before we talk about the Chiefs and the Saints, just want to give you your overall perspective. I know you're a college football fan. Can I make the argument that Cincinnati should or shouldn't be in the Final Four with Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson?
You can make the argument. I don't know. I think the 4 best football teams are, unfortunately, Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Alabama. I hate to see the same, 6 or 7 different playoff teams each year, but, that is what it is this year. You can make an argument for an A&M. You can make an argument for Cincinnati, Oklahoma. If Iowa State would have won yesterday, I would have made an argument for them. But outside of those,
but John, I'm going to stop you right there because Notre Dame had a chance to prove what they were worth, and they got their doors blown off. They were out-coached, out-schemed, out-town. So to me, Notre Dame is what they always are. They are a top 10 team. They're not a top 5 team.
Yeah, you're going to see Alabama and Clemson in the championship game again this year. They're the two best teams. They're out there hitting the recruiting front better than anybody else. They have the two best coaches in all of college football, and coaching wins in college football. And when you can get 20 5-star athletes on the football field, you're going to win football games, and that's what Alabama and Clemson are doing.
Now they're talking about because of COVID. I know Oregon has lost about $80 million. Because of the football. So they're talking next year and the next few years, and I'm going to talk about this with George Lopez in a few minutes, about making it an 8-game playoffs. And here's why I'm going to say absolutely not. Right now, every game matters in college football. I used to be a huge college basketball fan, but I don't watch it now until a week before March Madness because the regular season doesn't mean anything. Why? I know it's money, but can we just say, look, don't do it. Right now, me and my dad every Saturday, we get together, we watch these games because they mean something. You put 8 teams in, 12 teams, it's not going to mean anything. What are your thoughts on that?
I want to see 8 as the number. We've just seen too many teams, especially the non-power 5s, just get left out of the playoff. I want to see them have a chance. That's what makes March Madness so great, is the teams that don't normally get a chance, the Wichita States, the Memphis States back in the day, those teams that you don't see every single Saturday maybe have a chance to play on a big stage. UCF deserved a chance a couple of years ago with that team that Scott Frost was coaching, and they just didn't have the opportunity.
I agree with you there, but I'll stop. We'll end it with this, and then we'll get Chris Rosenglue on. March Madness is the greatest lie ever perpetrated on the American sports market. And here's why. Only 3 times since 1980 has teams seeded 10 or above made it to the Final Four. I think it was LSU in 86, VCU, and like James Madison. So this thought that, anyone has a chance to win it, it's a lie. Not every team has a chance to win it in March Madness because the lower seeds, other than Villanova, who was an 8 seed in 1985, the lower seeds never get to the Final Four. And when they do, the 3 times that it's happened, they got spanked. So this March Madness theory that people talk about it's the greatest lie ever perpetrated on American sports.
No, you can say that about teams down that far, but if you look at 5, 6, 7 seeds that have made runs over the course of history, there's a larger number out there. Kansas was a 6 seed in 88 when they won a national championship against the consensus number 1 team that year in Oklahoma. If you break that out, that's barely a top 25 team if you look at that. So if you had 24 teams in a playoff in college football, the likeliness of one of those teams making a 4 or 5 game run and winning a national championship is slim to none, but there is that chance, and that's what you don't get in college football.
Okay, let's bring on Chris. Chris, thanks so much for joining the full Monte Sports Show. Always love your background, my friend. I see you got the Camaro up there. Is that like a Spider-Man in the top right-hand, left-hand corner there?
We're still rocking with Deadpool, Monty, but I changed it up a little bit. Got Kamara in there, got Michael Thomas in here. I've been working around with the background for you.
All right, Chris. So look, we got the Saints background. We'll switch back and forth between that and the Chiefs. You lost last week to the Philadelphia Eagles, but if I would have told you, hey, 10-3 going into the Chiefs game, you would have taken it. So why are Saints fans panicking to me via email?
I think it's because of the battle for the 1 seed, honestly, Monty, because when I saw this game, and I agree with you, if you tell a Saints fan, hey, you're going to be 10-3 at this point, they're going to take it. And I'd go even further. Michael Thomas and Drew Brees have played 10 quarters of football together this year because their injuries haven't lined up. So imagine those two playing only 10 quarters of football together, and you're 10-3, you absolutely take it. So I think this comes down to the 1 seed and not being able to get the 1 seed and Green Bay leaping out in front of them, and that's why people are panicking.
Wow. So you're telling me they've played 10 quarters, the number one quarterback and number one wide receiver. That's insane.
It's absurd. And think about what they did last year. Michael Thomas breaking records. Drew Brees looked really hot towards the end of the season. And obviously, it's not that both of them have missed so much time. It's that, Michael Thomas was missing time while Drew was on the field. And then Michael Thomas comes back and now Drew's off. And now Drew's back and Michael Thomas is off. So it's insane to think about. You just got to hope maybe for the playoffs they get on the same page together. But it is really frustrating.
Okay, listen, John. The Chiefs have not covered the spread over their last 5 games. I don't care about spreads. I do fantasy football. I don't bet against the spreads. But what this is telling me, and again, I'm not picking on a team that's 12-1, but what this is telling me is that the Chiefs are playing to their level of competition because the sharps in Vegas know what the hell they're talking about. And the Chiefs seem to be playing to their level of competition. We saw this in the NBA. With the LA Clippers all year. They couldn't turn it on. Are you concerned about this, or am I overthinking the room?
They are playing to the level of competition. I think that's quite obvious. But from Chiefs fans, the concern's very little. Sure, we've been in 5 straight one-possession games, but they are 5-0 in those one-possession games. Are we as polished as I would like us to be? No, we're nowhere near that. But if you would have told me before the season that we'd be 12-1 headed into Saints week, I would have took it in a heartbeat. I think I personally had them at 11-2 at this point in time, and that was a little higher than most of the writers out there. Our floor is so much higher than any other team in the NFL's. And, our floor may be higher than a lot of teams' ceilings. And I think we've seen that play out last week in Miami. Miami didn't play an A+ game, but they played an A game. And the Chiefs gave them possession after possession that they don't normally give teams, and still were able to come out of that game comfortably. Nowhere outside of the last, 6 or 7 minutes of the Vegas game did I ever feel concerned for the Chiefs, just because Vegas proved that they could beat us already once this season. But when Patrick Mahomes got that ball back with 1:45, that doubt went out of my mind quickly. The most frustrated I've been over this stretch was when everybody on the Chiefs sideline missed that Tyreek Hill touchdown again in the Denver game. That's how spoiled we are fans right now.
For those who don't know, Tyreek Hill bobbled the ball. He got hit. He caught it. And then it went out, and they called it an incompletion. He went to the sideline. He didn't know if he caught it or not, but no one on the Chiefs sideline challenged that play.
Yeah. So that's the first time Andy Reid said he'd ever had a player not tell him that they caught the ball. So he wasn't, and the Chiefs never get in a rush to really do anything. We punted with 11 seconds still on the clock. that was what was frustrating. So,
and it's funny because most players never think they commit a foul. Most players always think they catch it. Tyreek Hill's like, I don't know if I caught it. So they didn't challenge it. All right.
Tyreek Hill's that good. He can catch a football and not even know it.
All right, Chris, listen, 4 games in, Taysom Hill. We've talked about the money they gave him. What do you like? What do you don't like? I'm just going to come out and say it. He's not a franchise quarterback.
So I'll get to all 3 points for you, Monte. What I do like is I noticed through watching all the film studies, his footwork's pretty good in terms of moving in the pocket, stepping up, looking downfield, making your right reads. That I've been impressed with. I wasn't sure he'd be able to do that, but he has. And another thing I really like is composure. He's had times where he'll turn over the football or things aren't going well, and it doesn't really seem like he's rattled. It just comes down to him not being a super talented quarterback. Now, things he doesn't do well, and they really concern me, his pocket awareness is not where I'd like to see it, especially for a guy who's been watching Drew Brees. You think your pocket awareness would be better, and hasn't. And the turnovers, he has 10 fumbles this year. That's 10 fumbles too many. You're only starting 4 games, and the rest of the season you're only in there for 10 snaps or so. You can't fumble the football 10 times. So do I think he's a franchise quarterback? No, I do not think he's a franchise quarterback. What I do wonder is, though, can he start next year? Because Sean Payton in the back of his mind might say, hey, look, we're paying him. And then second, defenses haven't caught up to him yet, possibly. But franchise quarterback, when I think of franchise quarterback, I think of year in, year out, you're going to be the guy. So he does not fit that bill. But I would not be shocked if either Taysom or Jameis Winston start next year as kind of a filler while they figure out who's going to be that heir to Drew Brees.
One of the things that drove me crazy, and I have had this problem with Sean Payton for years, is during the Philadelphia game, there's like 5 minutes left. They're down 2 scores, and they had no sense of urgency. My brother's screaming, "Why are they huddling up? What is going on?" Were you like, "What the hell are we doing here?"
I was. And then you know what I went back to? It comes back to this is a guy in just 4 starts who's not necessarily a legit quarterback. And I wonder if it's one of those things where Taysom can't run a 2-minute drill. We know Drew Brees can run it. That's not a question. But I do wonder if Taysom Hill just wouldn't be up to that task. And the most frustrating part about that, Monte, was that drive started with 6 minutes. They were down 10. It finished with about 2 minutes, and it ended up in a missed field goal anyway. So you wasted all that time in the world. You didn't put any points on the board either. Extremely frustrating. But I think that really came down to Sean saying, all right, we're down 10. I don't know if this guy can really run the 2-minute drill right now to success. Why don't we just get more reps in, because we're probably going to lose this game anyway. I do wonder if that was what he did.
Chris, do you know this for a fact? Like when Drew Brees is healthy, how much time is split with reps and Hill on the first unit? Is it a lot because they put him in for like 10 or 12 plays during the game, or is it like a 70-30 split?
It's not a lot. I mean, so when Drew's as the starter, Taysom's in so many meetings that he doesn't really have time to really work with the ones. I mean, he's on special teams meetings. He's with the tight end group. The guy's doing a lot. So what the Saints use him for from time to time with the ones is basically in those packages where it's either going to be a power run play or it's going to be a shot play where they're saying, all right, Taysom, it's one read deep. If you don't have it, take off and run. So I wouldn't even go 70-30. He doesn't really spend much time with the ones at all. The interesting thing, though, and this is always so fascinating to me, Taysom spends time with the twos, yet if Drew Brees gets hurt today against the Chiefs, let's say, Winston's going to go in because Taysom spends so much time with special teams and the tight ends that they trust Jameis more to just fulfill Drew's game plan when he's out.
Yeah, listen, guys, I'm getting text messages about the chat room not being really slow, but just try to keep them coming. We're talking with Chris Rosaglou and John Meyer. John, you look deep in thought there. What were you looking at?
I was just reading some messages from somebody.
All right. So listen, I'm worried about the running game here with the Chiefs. I'm very worried about it. They started on fire, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire has slowed up. I know he sat out that one game. Are you worried about this? Has he hit the rookie wall, or is this something that we shouldn't be worried about?
I don't think he's really hit a wall. I think Andy's just pulled the strings on the running game extremely quickly.
Like he does every year.
Every season. Yeah. So Clyde's only averaging a little over 10 carries a game over the last 6. So what makes Clyde Edwards-Helaire so good at the end of ball games is just how compact and that bowling ball, wrecking ball type of running back that he is. He doesn't go down on first contact, and that wears on a defense over the course of 4 quarters. And when he's only, getting 10 to 12 touches in the running game as opposed to 20 to 25 over that course, the defenses aren't worn down, especially on the first and second lines. So, should Andy run the ball more? I don't know. Patrick Mahomes has 2,300 yards over the last 6 games, the most of any quarterback in a 6-game stretch in NFL history. You're riding the hot hand, and that has been successful for the Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire right now has 750 yards rushing, 300 yards receiving in the game. He's on pace for right around 1,400 yards of total offense from a rookie running back. I'm going to take that over the course of the year.
Are we going to see more Le'Veon Bell the last few games?
Absolutely. I think we're going to see more Le'Veon Bell, especially for these last 3 weeks, and maybe even he might be the hot hand in the playoffs. He's a more proven running back in situations like that, and Andy's going to go with security over maybe substance in that position.
Okay, so look, Chris, can I say to you, why are you playing Drew Brees this week? And here's why. It looks like the Packers are going to clinch the number 1 seed, right? So the goal of the Saints is to get to the Super Bowl, right? Now, normally I would say you don't want to go to Lambeau, but they're not going to be fans there. It's going to be cold, but it brings me to my next point. This defense has been amazing. The defense has been the consistent since about week 2 or 3. They've been phenomenal. So why are we rushing Drew Brees back, first of all, to play against a very good Chiefs team? Because if your goal is to get to the Super Bowl, you don't want to show the Chiefs anything with Drew Brees. Let them look at film with Taysom Hill, and then if you get to the Super Bowl, because I don't think the Saints are going to get the number 1 seed. There's only one bye this week. So your thoughts on that, and then talk about this defense.
So I agree. I don't think they're going to get the number 1 seed. I think that's going to the Green Bay Packers. They're playing really good football right now, and they just need to win their last 2 games against the Titans and the Bears, and it's the 1 seed for the taking for Green Bay. So I think they'll get it. It's easy to, in my opinion, I agree. There is a part of me that says, hey, look, you can wait it out with Drew. But from what everyone's saying and I've asked around with a lot of people in that building, apparently this is a situation where Drew's technically never going to be 100% for the rest of the season. It's more like 90%, 95%. And he's been cleared. He's been practicing with the ones since Monday. They just basically hid it from everyone and said, oh, I'll put it this way. And you probably agree with this, Monte. Sean Payton lies to the media a lot. So he's telling people on Monday Drew Brees has ways to go, and then all of a sudden on Friday he's starting. That wasn't the case. He was ready to go. I think this is one thing about the Saints offense. They have not found their rhythm this year, and it comes down to having Michael Thomas in and out of the lineup, Drew Brees in and out of the lineup, Emmanuel Sanders and Teron Armstead missed time because of COVID. So I think this Saints team, while I agree the defense is the story for this team, and they've been really consistent throughout the year, the offense needs to find its rhythm, and you only have 3 games left. So do you risk going into the playoffs with Drew Brees and these guys not in proper timing and not having any chemistry going? So look, at one point, I do agree this is tough. You're putting Drew in a tough spot against Patrick Mahomes' Kansas City team that is playing outstanding. But on the other hand, you got to get Drew in there and see what you have. As for the defense, though, Monte, they've been fantastic, and it all really started with the Quan Alexander trade. Since he got in, I think they've only allowed 3 touchdowns this season with Quan Alexander in the lineup. So this defense has been amazing. We've seen them ball out against the Buccaneers. Nick Mullins 49ers team, so not that impressive, but they played really well against the Falcons twice. And even last week against the Eagles, everyone's going to say, oh, Jalen Hurts ran all over them, and he ran for a lot. The bigger issue was the offense for the Saints started off really flat, and that's why they lost the game. So the defense has absolutely been the story, but I think you had to get Drew in there at some point and get some rhythm going.
All right, John, we're getting 2 things that must be addressed here. One, my mom will go crazy if you don't show the picture of the Patrick Mahomes baby that's hanging up. And Andrea wants to look at your Santa mug. What's in the Santa mug?
It's a nice, what is it, Nicaragua? No, Honduran this week from a local roaster here in Kansas City. If you check out my blog, I talk about coffee all the time. So that's what's in here. The Patrick Mahomes baby. We tried to get him on today, but he's nursing right now, so we don't want a fussy teething baby on the Full Monty Sports Show.
Listen, I have Rico Show Me the Money Graziano on every week, and he's a baby, and he whines and complains, but he's my co-host, so we don't mind whiny babies. All right, same question for you. This Chiefs defense is not great, but they're very good situationally. They can sack the quarterback. They can cause turnovers. To the average fan that doesn't follow the Chiefs every day, talk about the defense and a few players that have made them so effective.
So what I like about the Chiefs defense is their ability to make in-game adjustments, and they've been able to do that over the last season and a half or so once they gelled really well with Spag's system. And at times they can show that they're almost an elite defense, especially when the offense isn't performing. They'll go, 2-quarter stretches where they don't allow anything. They showed it in the playoffs when, they would get down 24 or 10 or 17 and then go on their runs, that the defense would stop opposing offenses like no other to get the offense back into rhythm on those things. So, those tackling struggles are frustrating beyond end. The pass rush without blitzing is still a little bit of a struggle that, it's frustrating to watch. But the secondary is extremely underrated, and that starts with Tyrann Mathieu just leading everything. Daniel Sorensen has been flourishing in this defense, in a number of different roles. You can line them up with a hand down on the line and rush him. You can play him deep in the secondary. He covers half the field really well. You can kind of rover him as a linebacker in a number of different ways. Rookie L'Jarius Sneed has been just a gem from the 4th round that we stole out of from Louisiana Tech. Chris Jones at times has looked really good, but this defense just excels when Tyrann Mathieu can roam around and do his thing.
Yeah, no, he's been a breath of fresh air in that defense. He can make plays. He can blitz. He can intercept the ball, cause fumbles. Okay, here we go.
There he is.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Bug.
Oh my goodness, how cute is that? Yeah. Is he wearing Chiefs pajamas?
Yeah, he's the number one Chiefs fan. He's his dad's son. He loves football. Anytime the Chiefs or any other game that we're watching on, those eyes are on the TV. We're trying to avoid that for the future. But right now, it's great to have that time.
Adorable. Even Chris is smiling with that. Chris is usually stoic, doesn't show a lot of emotion. Chris is all into that.
I can't help myself. That's the cutest Chiefs fan I've ever seen. So
yeah, he's the cutest boy in sports media right now.
All right, let's move to you, John, since you have the baby there. Then we'll get to Chris. Give us 3 keys to this game, John.
Okay, keeping Patrick Mahomes upright is going to be the biggest key. The Chiefs are down at least one starting offensive lineman. I think Yasir Durant is going to get his first NFL start, undrafted rookie out of Missouri, replacing Mike Rimmers, who was replacing Mitchell Schwartz. The Chiefs have just, one offensive lineman after another this season, just been rotating guys in. And keeping 15 upright is of the utmost priority for the Chiefs to be successful. Being able to have a fluid pocket where Patrick Mahomes can move around and do the things that he does so well is important. Number 2, keeping hold of that football and not having the turnovers like we did last week. You don't want to give Drew Brees any extra possessions in this game. Sean Payton and that coaching staff is going to do a great job of trying to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands with the running game that they have there. Very successful running game. So keeping possession of the ball for the Chiefs is of utmost priority there, and avoid the roughing the passer call. I think this is going to be a big thing in this game. Drew Brees and quarterbacks of his age and inkling always tend to get that call, especially this portion of the season. These referees are human beings, so I know that human factor is going to play into it. And if Chris Jones or somebody like that is half a tick late and lands right on Drew Brees, I expect that flag to be thrown out there quickly. So you don't want to extend drives with silly things like that. So I want the defense to get their hands up and knock out some of those balls, because I expect Brees to be getting that ball out of his hand quickly. So you won't have to worry about the over-the-top stuff. So.
I'm going to go with Chris, but real quick, can I say that Sammy Watkins is going to be the key, because they're going to try to take out Kelsey or Tyreek Hill. Sammy Watkins over the middle should have a big game today.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins should have a big game. Demarcus Robinson has been playing well in that 3rd or 4th wide receiver position. We get Byron Pringle back this week, so we should have our full depth of wide receivers. I think the offense is going to try to get the ball out of Patrick's hands a little bit quicker this week. So, Sammy across the middle, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, I expect those guys to eat. Maybe some guys out of the backfield, Le'Veon Bell and Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting some touches in the screen game, stuff like that. It might not be 128 yards for Travis Kelce to break the all-time tight end receiving record this week.
Chris, this is why you got Emmanuel Sanders, right? Michael Thomas is not playing. Let Emmanuel Sanders go deep, go over the middle, and feed Alvin Kamara often and early. How do you break down this game? Give us a couple of quick keys.
Yeah, I agree, Monte. I actually tweeted out, I believe on Friday or Saturday, or whenever the Michael Thomas news broke, I was like, all right, this is where Emmanuel Sanders has to step up. He needs to shine. And we saw early in the year when Michael Thomas was out for a Lions and Chargers game on a back-to-back, Sanders had 90 receiving yards and then 122. So if he can have similar production, that will definitely keep the offense rolling. So 2 things that I really want to look out for in this game. The first one is when you play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and you guys talked about before with John, you need to play almost a perfect game, because even a B-plus game for the Chiefs is better than most teams' A or A-plus games. And we saw that last week. Mahomes had 3 interceptions, and it didn't really matter. It was just a matter of time as to when the Chiefs are going to get rolling. They're almost like the Warriors of the NFL. They start hitting some 3-pointers, and you're in big trouble. So I think for starters, you need to control the clock. And I always look back to last year's game between the Chiefs and the Colts. Obviously, it didn't matter. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl at the end of the day. But in that one, the Colts controlled the clock for 37 minutes with Jacoby Brissett, and because of that, they were able to come out with a win. So I think you need to control the clock, and Patrick Mahomes can't hurt you if he's sitting on the bench. He's going to hurt you when he's on the field, but if he's on the bench, he can't hurt you. And then the second thing for me is you have to capitalize, and you can't settle for field goals instead of touchdowns. The one thing I noticed last week with the Dolphins, they were playing really good defense. They were flipping field position. They were doing a good job of that. But when they got in the red zone and it was time to make Kansas City pay, they were settling for 3, and you can't do that. You got to get 7, especially with an explosive offense with Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
Okay, Chris, we have about 2 minutes left, so I'll give you the minute right now. Give us your MVP. I'm just trying to influence in here with Aaron Rodgers. Give us your MVP. Give us your defensive player of the year. I have Jamal Adams actually winning the defensive player of the year. And give us your rookie of the year.
So for MVP, I know Rodgers is basically everyone's favorite right now, and I can't blame him. His touchdown interception ratio is insane. But I'm still going to go with Mahomes. And the reason I'm going with Mahomes is before last week, Mahomes was my guy through every week. And I was saying people are going to be almost getting bored of his greatness to the point where like, all right, Mahomes is great. Do we have to give him MVP? Yeah, you got to give him MVP. He's still that good. So I think Mahomes deserves it. I'm still going with him just because of one game. I'm not just going to change my pick. Defensive player of the year, I'm going to go with someone that not enough people are talking about. I think Xavier Howard has been phenomenal this year. He's got an interception in 5 straight games. He's got 9 total interceptions. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets to double digits today. He's playing a really bad passing attack from Cam Newton and the New England Patriots, so maybe he gets another interception.
Talking about the defensive back from Miami.
Yeah, he is fantastic. And also while we're at it, I'll just throw in my rookie of the year and coach of the year. Rookie of the year, Justin Herbert. The guy is just incredible. I know Justin Jefferson deserves some credit as well, but I'm going to go Justin Herbert. And coach of the year, how about Kevin Stefanski? The Browns were a team that everyone was disappointed with last year. You changed the coach. They win 9 games already. They could win 10 games tonight against the Giants. And what I want to give Stefanski credit for is Baker Mayfield looks like a pretty decent quarterback now. And earlier in the year, we were wondering if they had to move off of him.
Listen, he has the most skilled position. He's got 2 running backs. He's got a good wide receivers, good tight ends. All right, John, same question.
Is anybody surprised I don't want to take Patrick Mahomes as MVP here? No. It's the eye test, guys. You see him do things each and every week that nobody's ever done in this league before. And he makes it look so easy. Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind. I think it's a middle finger to some of the brass there in Green Bay for drafting Jordan Love in the first round. But, at his age, doing what he's doing is super respectable. And to answer your question on defensive player of the year there, Andrea, Aaron Donald also passes the eye test as the best defensive player in all of football and has for the last 5 years. I almost went Xavier Howard as well. Probably recency bias on that. Watching him last week, he just is always in position. I like him a lot. TJ Watt is having a good year as well. But what Aaron Donald does from the defensive tackle position, any of the 31 other teams want that from the defensive tackle, and he's just destroying people as he normally does.
And your rookie of the year, Justin Herbert?
Justin Herbert, 3,700 yards, 27 TDs. Brian Flores, I have as my coach of the year. Just super smart. What he did at the end of the football game last week, just really solidified my thoughts on that.
Yeah, listen, all great picks. Listen, guys, I want to thank you so much. I'm grateful for you during this holiday season and throughout the year. The fans absolutely love you guys. Every time you come on, you make my audience smarter. You're so passionate when you talk, and you're so informative. So thank both of you. I want to wish you both a happy and safe holiday. Chris, start with you. How can we follow you? And guys, just so you know, wherever I go, wherever my career takes me, you guys will always be welcome to come on my show.
So people can follow me on Twitter at Rosvogel Report. They can check out also my work at The Spun, do a lot of college football and NFL writing there. And then for my podcast, Straight Up Saints, you can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Play, wherever you get your podcast. Monte, I appreciate you as always having me on. I hope you have a happy holidays as well. And it's always fun to talk Saints and have a little back and forth.
Yeah, Chris, we're definitely going to get you on over the next couple weeks again for the college football preview. I think Cincinnati should be the fourth team. Do you agree with that?
I will say this, the whole year I've been like campaigning for Cincinnati.
Me too.
Right. And at some point, can we just put a group of 5 team in there? Because it kind of seems whoever gets that 4 spot's going to lose to Alabama anyway. That's what it feels like. So why don't we get Cincinnati in here and let this happen? I think this is the type of team to put in there too, because Luke Fickell is an excellent head coach. There's some times where these undefeated teams that are in Power 5 are playing well, but I'm like, I don't know if the coach is that great. Luke Fickell's the type of guy where if Michigan gets off from a Jim Harbaugh, I would go after Luke Fickell in a heartbeat. That's how good of a coach I think he is. So I'd love to see Cincinnati in it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. It'll probably go down to Notre Dame or A&M for that 4th spot.
No, I agree with you. I think Cincinnati. And John, how can we follow you and your writing and your blog?
Yeah, so you see my Twitter handle there at John Meyer KC. You can follow me on Facebook at John D. Meyer. And then I have my coffee and Chiefs blog, chiefscoffeecorner.food.blog, that I post every week about a local roaster here in Kansas City, do a review of last week's game and a preview of this week's game. A lot of fun, looking for a few more followers on that. So yeah, thanks a lot. It's been an awesome opportunity this year, Monte. I wish you the best of the most fun in this holiday season, and happy wishes and Merry Christmas.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll have you on in a few weeks. Again, happy Christmas, happy holidays to you and your families. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Happy holidays, guys.
Take care. Okay, that was John and Chris Roseglu. Both of them do a tremendous job. And now we're going to bring on one of our favorite guests, George Lopez. How are you, George?
Hey, Monte, how's it going? I know you said this was a Christmas extravaganza. I had to wear a shirt that honored the greatest fight on Christmas Day.
That is unbelievable. That shirt is unbelievable. George, we're going to get you on, and then in about 10 minutes, we're going to bring on Rico and Levi. They're actually in the room right now together. I don't know how it's going to work, but let's just talk right off the start. I know you're going to be annoyed with me, but I'm just going to keep posting these pictures because George and I had a $20 bet on Oregon USC, and to his credit, as soon as the game was over, unlike Rico, who I'm going to have to start charging a VIG, George paid his debt right away. So, George, let's talk about this right now. Oregon won 31-24, Pac-12 championship, 2nd time in a row. Clay Helton, 45-23 as the USC coach. George, are we bringing this man back?
Well, if you ask the athletic director of USC, the answer more than likely is going to be yes. If you ask the USC fans, the answer is hell no. Chris mentioned Coach Fickell. Immediately after that game, I'm on a group chat with USC fans. They brought him up, bring him to USC. Yeah,
the coach of Cincinnati. Yes, the coach of Cincinnati.
We've been asking a lot of the fans, the guys I go to games with, SC chats rooms that I'm in, they've been wanting to fire Helton for the last 3 years.
George, but wait, George, can I just say this? We saw Nebraska fire their coach and bring in Scott Frost. The Nebraska coach won 8, 9, 10 games every year. Okay, the Iowa coach has been there for a decade. He wins 8, 9, 10 games a year. Can we just say that Oregon and USC are what they are? They're going to win 9 and 10 games. Every once in a while, they'll be in the Final Four. Or is it, and this is not a put down of USC fans. I talk about the USC fans a lot like the Dallas Cowboy fans. You had glory, and now you're not that team anymore. Are you just not an elite program?
They're not an elite program because of Coach Helton. We're used to, we had John McKay, we had John Robinson, we had some downtime, Ted Tollner, and I can't forget Paul Hackett days. Pete Carroll brought us back to glory. This is Los Angeles. We expect championships, not just, hey, we won 8, 9, 10 games. That's not good enough here at USC. Helton, they brought him in. He brought stability after Coach Sarkisian. They needed that. He hasn't got him over the hump. It's time to move on. Bring in someone that can get him over that hump. Get him back to where they belong.
I get everything you're saying, but he's making $3.8 million. Okay. I just said in the opening, Oregon is losing $80 million this year because of COVID. USC is not just going to throw that money away.
No, and with Oregon, I would imagine that Phil Knight's going to make up that difference for them. He's a tremendous booster to the program, to the athletic program at Oregon.
He can, but USC can't make that. USC can't make up that money.
No, but what will happen is the boosters that USC has now, they're going to start withholding money if they don't get Helton out. Now, I'm thinking here, Coach Fickle, if I remember correctly, our new athletic director came from Cincinnati. So there is a relationship there. It would be tremendous to get someone like him here. A friend of mine, he kept talking about how Urban Meyer's been in LA pretty much every day for over a week. So everyone's going to start talking, is Urban Meyer going to come back to coaching? Would he want to come to USC? Even though I think his dream job is Notre Dame, but I don't see Coach Kelly leaving Notre Dame anytime soon.
George, okay, I'm going to throw out another name right here. Pat Fitzgerald, okay, Northwestern coach. He has done a tremendous job in the Big Ten. He's winning where you can't win. I told my dad yesterday when we were watching the game, I said, this man needs to leave. How about going after Pat Fitzgerald?
He's a great coach. I mean, I love what he did with Northwestern this season. Question is, can he get the players that you need to be competitive across the country? Can he recruit in the South? Can he recruit in Texas? Can he recruit back east? Because to compete with the likes of Clemson, Alabama, you need to get those 5-star players. Can he get those kind of players to come to play at USC if we were to get him as a coach? That's the question. You got to get those blue chip players, and Helton really isn't getting them. He's getting 4-star, 3-star players, good players, but he's not getting the top players that he needs to compete to get into the college football playoffs, compete for a national championship. Competing for the Pac-12 championship is not enough.
Listen, George, what about this comment right here? Every time we look at you, let me remove your banner so we can look at that. You see Drago. See the draw. Where did you get that sweatshirt? Was that a gift?
It was a gift. We did Christmas yesterday because my sister and my brother-in-law, they live in Vegas, and he had a work Christmas, so they came in this weekend. So we did our Christmas yesterday, and this was a gift from my nephew. He said he remembered we were at a Dodger game years ago, and a guy had a Drago shirt on, and I was commenting about the movie, and he remembered it. And when he saw it, he goes, "I got to get that for my uncle."
You know what? That's a great gift because obviously it was something that he remembered and he brought for. So that's props to him. So I think college football is making a huge mistake. They're going to go to an 8 playoff team format. George, I hate this. I said this earlier. College basketball, March Madness. I don't even watch during the regular season. College football right now, every game matters. First of all, give us your 4 teams for the college football playoffs. I hope Cincinnati is the 4th team, along with Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama. No one's going to beat Alabama. They're winning the national championship. Do you like the 8-team format?
Well, we know what it's about. It's about the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
Chris brought up something about some of the other teams, the non-Power 5 teams that would get a look into an 8-team format. I can see that point, but no, because I agree. It does take away from those games because every year I look forward to USC, Notre Dame. That's the biggest non-conference game you're going to see. If you go to an 8-team format and the games aren't going to matter anymore, you're going to see some of these Power 5 teams, and I'm going to name them. Alabama. All the SEC teams, they're going to play more cupcakes. They're going to play more Division II, Division III games to keep their undefeated record. And that irritates the living hell out of me that teams do that, and they don't get punished for it. If you want to be the best, play the best.
Yeah, I agree.
And I agree. Nick Saban, man up. If you want to play top teams, don't do this BS crap.
Yeah, this cupcake schedule, out of conference schedule.
Do a home-and-home series. Man up. Travel to Oregon. Travel to the Coliseum. I want to see Alabama with a full crowd at Oregon, as loud as that stadium gets. How do those players react? But for him, it's got to be a neutral site, and then we got to play a cupcake right before we play the Iron Bowl. I don't agree with it.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I agree. George, when did you get that Joel Youngblood jersey? Is that something new, or is that an old? Because you had Donald, who's how old is that jersey?
That's a Jackie
Oh,
Youngler
that's Jack
jersey.
Youngler. How old is that?
Oh, I've had that jersey for a number of years now. He's my favorite Ram.
That's classic right there. All right, let's move to the Lakers real quick before we get to the Rams. Can we just say this team's going to be on cruise control? I mean, look, LeBron's not going to play that many games the first half. Either is Anthony Davis. They have the depth. But what I'm concerned with is LeBron is a type of player, he doesn't miss games. He may sit out here and there. Is this going to be a problem in the locker room? Because let's face it, there are some guys in Marc Gasol in Toronto with Kawhi Leonard. Okay. There are some guys in Montrezl Harrell who played with guys who took off. Montrezl Harrell did it last year with the Clippers, and it caused a problem in the locker room. Do you see this happening in LA?
No, I don't see it happening with the Lakers. I think Frank Vogel's going to have good control of that locker room. And LeBron's not going to take as many games off as people are thinking. He may take, and I don't think he wants to. Vogel might rest him because there was a short time frame between the end of the season and the start of training camp. So let's just rest him a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be that many games. I'd be surprised if it's more than 5. But no, there won't be a problem in the locker room. LeBron's got good control of that locker room. You know, the players are feeding off of him. He's still hungry to get more titles. He wants to repeat, and he's going to push that team. They're not going to give – it's not like we saw with the Clippers, that story that came out with Kawhi and Paul George getting preferential treatment. I don't see it being that way. So I don't think
can I say if LeBron wins his 5th title this year, he's the greatest of all time? 3 different teams, 5 titles, the same as Magic Johnson. Can I say he's the greatest ever?
You can make the argument. It's hard to compare players from different eras. And the one name that never gets mentioned in the greatest of all time is Kareem. How is he never brought up?
I don't know why. I don't know. First of all, he has a shot that has never been duplicated in the skyhook. He has 6 titles. Yeah, no, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Great point. All right, George, finally, let's get to the Rams. Seahawks are 9-4. Both are going to make the playoffs. Is this team better than you thought? Because when they were struggling, I was like, George, they're done. And you're like, no, Monte, they're good. Told me and Rico, they're good. They just don't match up well against the 49ers for whatever reason. But what do you see? I mean, is this team a legitimate NFC championship game contender? Or are they not that good? Is it smoke and mirrors?
No, they're definitely a contender. Now, when the season started, you know, I saw the quote-unquote experts, Rams are going to go 7-9, 8-8. And they based it off of last season. And as I told you, Enrico, the problem with the Rams last year is their offensive line wasn't healthy. They couldn't run the ball. And they got figured out. And I told you, they're going to go 10-6, 11-5 this year. They win today, that's win number 10.
No, you were right. You were right on the money. You were right on the money. Yeah. And by the way, can I just say, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, can I just say, I was right about Marcus Mariota. You put Mariota in a system that is offensive friendly, and the guy runs, and the guy can pass, and he looks great. George, I'm going to say this right now. Do I start Jared Goff and Cooper Kupp today in my DraftKings? We know about Goff, okay? We know that when he gets protection, he's one of the best in the NFL.
Well, in my fantasy today on FanDuel, I started Cooper Kupp. I didn't go with Jared Goff.
You don't think he's going to have a good game against the Jets?
I think he'll have a good game. Will he have a great game? Probably not. I think you're going to see more of the running game going again today. I honestly, I went with Tannehill today. I took a flyer on Tannehill.
That's what Rico did last week when he lost the Cleveland game. So don't follow Enrico's.
No, I took a flyer on Tannehill, but I think Goff will have a good game, but I don't think he's going to have a great game. That's why I kind of stood away from him on fantasy today.
But Cooper Kupp, definitely big game.
Yeah, I see Cooper Kupp going for at least 10 catches today.
George, who's the number 1 running back and who's the number 1 wide receiver on this Rams team?
Well, in terms of running back, I think now it should be Cam Akers because we saw what he did last week against the Patriots.
So no more running back by committee.
It's still going to be running back by committee because McVay even came out during the week. No, we still want to get Malcolm Brown and we still want to get Henderson involved. But I do think that Akers is going to get majority of the carries today. So, and he should be the primary back now, but you're still going to see him mix and match with Henderson and Malcolm Brown.
All right. We're talking with George Lopez here on the Full Monty Sports Show live on YouTube. This is our Christmas Extravaganza. Been posting pictures about, some great pictures of holiday spirits, holiday cheer. Look at this one. How nice is that?
Oh,
Just
nice.
gets you in the holiday spirit. I know here in Florida there's no snow. Out in LA there's no snow. But this is our Christmas extravaganza. George, real quick, talk about this defense. Look, you got rid of Wade Phillips last year, and there was some question marks. Wade Phillips was a great fit, but this defense is a top 5 defense. Why?
Well, Coach Staley, he put a twist. He brought his own twist to the 34 defense. And let's also look at the fact the players that we picked up in the offseason. Leonard Floyd, he is doing a lot better than anyone expected because, he didn't do that great as an edge rusher in Chicago, but he's tremendous as an edge rusher for the Rams. We got Ashawn Robinson out of Detroit. He's great run stopper up the middle when we finally got him healthy.
So, George, for those fans who are casual fans, the 3-4 defense is 3 linemen for linebackers. You're saying that he took what Wade Phillips started and he made it better.
He made it better. And also, Jalen Ramsey, and we talked about this before, Ramsey's not just staying out on an island one-on-one with the best player on the best receiver. He moves him around. You're going to see him sometimes guard the slot. Sometimes he's going to guard a tight end. Ramsey moves around, and he's a huge difference in that secondary. He's made that secondary even better.
All right, George, stick around right now. We're going to put up the NFL background here. We're going to bring on Rico and Levi. How are you guys today? Look at that background. Is that Paris? Hold on. You guys are on mute. Hold on. Guys, unmute. You're on mute.
Oh, we were on mute. Yeah, that is Paris. Good job detecting that.
We're in Miami dreaming of Paris.
All right, George, I'm going to give you the AFC and the NFC. I'm going to give you the AFC and NFC Championship Final Four, and then we'll get their comments. Who is your AFC and NFC Championship Final Four?
Well, if these teams can avoid each other in the divisional playoffs, I'm going in the AFC, and Levi, you're going to love this. I'm going to go Kansas City, Buffalo. And in the NFC, New Orleans and the Rams. I think Green Bay is going to be one and done.
Here we go with the New Orleans fan club, the most overrated team in the history of the NFL. Okay, guys, can I just say this? Okay, Levi, we'll start with you. I'm going to compare this to Larry Bird when he walked into the 3-point shooting contest at the All-Star game, and he said, "You're all playing for second." Every team in the AFC, Levi, has problems. The Bills can't run the ball. Okay, the Steelers are injured; they can't run the ball. The Titans have no pass rush. Everyone has major flaws except the Kansas City Chiefs. So is everyone playing for second?
Well, I think everybody in the league is playing for second right now. But at the same time, any given Sunday, I think anybody can beat the Chiefs. It's not like they're not flawed. They can't really run the ball that well anyway. And their defense is good, but it's not elite or anything. So, yeah, I think it's anybody's.
Yeah, totally. I think Kansas City, people aren't realizing their defense isn't the greatest defense. When you're playing from behind, you have to play a certain way. If you just stick to it and just stick to the game plan and just run, you have a run offense, you could probably beat Kansas City. I don't think they're as perfect as people like to believe they are.
I don't know what I created, but people think Rico is Batman and the sports fight. Like you guys, if your lives was your online persona, you'd be Rico's already a millionaire, but you guys would be famous. I mean, look at this.
Let's go fight some crime, dude.
That's it. We're gonna fight some sports crime. Right now, we're in this week. We're in the championship of 4 fantasy football teams. It's been a very stressful 2 days. Who to start? Who to sit? One of our opponents, Josh Allen, last night.
I'm going through the same thing, and I'm going to ask you guys some fantasy football questions in a minute. But before we ask our next question, look, Rico, I'm just going to come out and say it. I beat you 9-5. Like it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. And you have 48 hours to pay me the money, or I'm just going to have to pull a Stewie on you. Now that you're in Miami, or let's face it, the good fellas, I want my damn money. Give me my money. You got it.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm ready to concede.
Rico, don't go Donald Trump now. Concede.
Georgia said, Rico, don't go Donald Trump.
I'm in Miami, and they seem to not worry about the COVID down here. And I guess I guess I'll go outside the box, and maybe I'll say that I have a long shot of taking maybe there's a long shot. Maybe I can contest one of the games that one of the weeks prior. I'm wondering if I could do that.
Levi, he's got no math. Stop the count. He wants to stop last week.
All right, Monte, did you see that sideways look Levi just gave Rico right now?
Levi's like,
really?
Levi's like, man up. Man up. I mean, again,
Levi was telling me, he told me that yesterday, he goes, you're going to have to concede. I said, Levi, do I have to? And he's like, you lost. And, I guess what do you want? I only send American Express gift cards. I do not Venmo. You're going to have to wait your time. I have to go buy it. I have to go get the money out of the bank because I only pay for cash for credit card, for gift cards. There's a lot of process before you see that money.
All right, listen, I will take the American Express gift card. I will text you my mailing address.
I am conceding to the fact that you play daily fantasy better, a little better than me. Just a little better. That's it. Daily
wait a minute. Donald Trump lost by 7 million. It was a landslide. I beat you 9-5. It was a landslide.
There's a lot of things that happen during the season that I feel like I can question and go back on, but I'm just going to let it fly.
Even Levi, if we could rewind, he was just like 9-5's a butt kicking.
Yeah, no, it's over.
Yeah. All right. I will officially concede that you beat me in daily fantasy football. Daily.
Okay, I'll take what I can take. Okay, Rico, our good friend Mike wants you to share a story. He asked me, what's the most amount of money you've lost in a weekend in Vegas or a bet where you said to yourself, man, I got to stop gambling?
This one surprisingly was in baseball. I was betting in baseball, which broke me that I had what's called a reverse. So you pick two teams.
Hold up. Why would you bet baseball?
Again, why I don't bet baseball. Charles Nagy was the pitcher. So maybe George knows who that is. And that was that long ago when I got cracked in baseball. And it was like so if you bet 500, it only works if you're betting with illegal bettors because the casinos don't do reverses. So reverses, let's say Pittsburgh, if win, the money rides on Buffalo. And then if Buffalo wins, the money rides back on Pittsburgh. So it's a double bet that reverses, they call it. So I did a reverse bet with the Indians and Atlanta. And I remember I lost the first one and then I lost the second, which if you lose, so if you bet 500 and you lose, you actually have to pay, and you lose both games, you have to pay 1,000. So I had like $1,000 bet on what I thought was a lock. Charles Nagy pitching for the Indians, and he lost, and then also Maddox lost, and it was a double-double, and it cracked me in baseball for $2,000, and it was very painful because both games were happening at the same time. So what happened is that they were both close games, and then it happened at the same time. So I went from like I can win 4,000 to oh my god, I lost 2,000, and it was.
You've never lost more than that in Vegas on a weekend.
No, in Vegas, I've lost. I was telling Levi the other day, I lost 1,000 on a roulette table. I did 300, lost 300, lost 300, lost, and then my friend came up to me and goes, "I've been saving up to buy an iPad. I just watched you lose it in less than a minute, and it broke my heart a little bit. So I stopped betting on roulette that big too."
Hey Rico, you ever have friends pull you off the table losing so much?
No, I hide.
I have. I was getting crushed in blackjack the first day we got there, and they yanked me off the table. Get off, let's go.
Listen, when you lose big the first day, your whole trip is ruined.
Oh, it was. I got it back Saturday morning, and by Saturday night, I gave it back with interest.
Oh,
it was a bad weekend.
Did you guys see George's T-shirt, sweatshirt? George, show them again.
He's right. Yo, George, the greatest, you said it best, the greatest fight on Christmas in Christmas history.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to say something right here.
McClane is trying to save his wife, Molly.
Other than Rocky 6, no, other than Rocky 5, okay, other than Rocky 5, Rocky 4 is the dumbest, most unrealistic, worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, Drago was Klitschko before there was Klitschko.
It's the worst movie I've ever seen.
it's the best 5 montages in movie history because it's just montage after montage after montage.
Hold up, Monte. It was the worst movie you've ever seen. You mean this was worse than
It's the worst
Showgirls?
Rocky movie there is, other than
I was
Rocky.
gonna say you're putting this below Showgirls. Something's wrong.
Showgirls.
Whoa,
At least you
Showgirls.
get-
Whoa.
Let's not talk about. At least you get something out of Showgirls. All right, George. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We're gonna have you back on when it comes to college football and bowl games, talking NBA. You and your family. I know you celebrated with your family yesterday, but thanks so much for coming on. Always appreciate the time.
Well, my pleasure, guys. Hey, guys, everybody have happy holidays. Stay safe. Merry Christmas with your loved ones. Talk to you guys soon.
Take care. George brings it every week. George brings it every week. All right, Rico. The Steelers are going to win today. No, on Monday. But Rico, this team is in trouble. They are 11-2. They're not that good.
Well, I'm hoping that, and I was saying this earlier today, I'm hoping that they just going through their bad phase and they click back in. Every team throughout the season goes through a rough 2-3 game patch. Hopefully theirs was every team needs to refine their footing. They lost 2 major players on defense. Their offense, they have no running game. So I'm hoping that this is where they're like, this is what we're at, and we need to refocus and readjust to the new norm. Kind of like we've all had to do with the COVID. We've had to find the new norm. Hopefully they have to do the same, and they adjust.
Rico, people are telling me to go find you and get my damn money.
Oh, that's find me, because you know what? You ain't gonna find. You better have a tracker on my phone, Monte.
All right, Levi. Look, no one wants to talk about this because it's a quarterback league. But can I make the argument that these 2 guys on the screen right now, Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook, should get votes for MVP? Without either one, they win 5 games.
Yeah, you can make that argument. I mean, Minnesota might not even make the playoffs, probably won't. So that's not going to be Cook. Henry's been, dominant as usual. But Mahomes has been historic. You got to go with Mahomes. But, yeah, they might get a vote or 2, but I wouldn't vote for him.
Levi says all the time that Mahomes he says it is the greatest player in NFL history.
He's the GOAT. There's no doubt about it.
He's already calling him the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
Okay.
If you don't
there's so many things wrong with that statement, first of all. But listen, if Patrick Mahomes misses 5 games, that team still wins 10 games. If Aaron Rodgers misses 5 games, they're 6-10.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know about the Chiefs winning.
Andy Reid is a genius.
He's a genius, but he's nowhere near the genius he was. Like, look at him with Alex Smith. He was good, but nowhere near this. Mahomes is so good. He is so good. And just for the record, I'll go on record to say that Herbert is getting close. He's coming after him. You're going to love it. I know you'll love it. No,
you're saying Herbert could be the GOAT?
I'm not saying he's the GOAT, but he has the talent to be close to what Mahomes is. I see it. I'm telling you, I see it right now. I'm not saying he's there. He's a rookie, but I see it.
Listen, I was high on him. I've missed, out of all the picks I've made in basketball, I may miss games, even though I'm 70 games above 500 picking games. I rarely miss players. But what I saw on Thursday night was my, happiness moment. It was the happiest I've ever been because I love Herbert, I love Mariota, and they both played great. When Mariota has an offensive quote, listen, he's an outlier. He's an outlier. He's 6'4". He's 225. He's pretty accurate. He's a great athlete. When he has an offensive-minded coach, he can win. And I may say this, Justin Herbert is winning despite Anthony Lynn.
Exactly. That's why I'm so high on him. If he gets a real offensive line and a real coach, the sky's the limit for him. But no offense, Mariota is not good and does not deserve no $17 million. No way.
My favorite thing about Mariota, I really like the way Mariota just stares at one wide receiver when he's going to throw. It's really like he's so committed to just one person. And
no matter what, pick 6 or not, it doesn't matter.
Okay, we're getting off the. If it's Mariota bashing, we're moving on. Okay, we go.
Okay.
Because of all the rule changes in the NFL to favor the offense, is it safe to say we're never going to see a defense like the 70 Steelers, like the 85 Bears? My friend Andrew always talks about it. The 86 Giants. Okay, can we say that the best defenses are still going to give up points. The Steelers gave up 26 points to Josh Allen, and the Steelers are one of the best defenses in the league. Are we done seeing dominant defenses?
Well, it's been very clear that the NFL, and they've said it, that we are trying to make this an offensive league. And, back then, for some reason, players didn't get hurt. Those defenses of the Giants, the Bears, and the Ravens, even Tampa Bay back in the day, there was something about them. And also, those quarterbacks got hit. They got hit enough that where teams were purposely running the ball more than they would throw it because, you don't want to lose your quarterback because they were getting, there was no roughing the passer. If it got called once a game, you'd be shocked back then. And also, pass interference wasn't a big thing back then. Offensive holding wasn't a big thing back then. Defensive players were allowed to throw the guy on the floor within the first 5 yards. Yes, you won't see defenses like that because the rules have changed to swing them out of their favor. But I agree with what you're saying. They won't. What she's saying that they won't.
I'm just going to look at my background. I got Santa Claus. I got all this beautiful stuff. This is the season of giving, and look what George has to write. I mean, come on, it's just uncalled for, dude. Hurtful. I mean, does that hurt you as much as it hurts me? Unbelievable. All right, Levi. Listen, here's the deal. 11-3, the Buffalo Bills. Better than you thought. What you expected. Strengths and weaknesses of this team.
Well, they're already better than I expected. I think on the show I said they'd be 10-6, so they've already exceeded that. They obviously won the division already. They still can't run the ball, but we can throw it, which is just amazing. Diggs has been incredible. Josh Allen obviously took a big step forward. I think if the defense clicks the way they're capable of, the sky's the limit until we face the Chiefs.
Listen, he's a defensive-minded coach. I think the Bills are one of the best prepared teams I've seen. I've watched a lot of Giant games this year. Even though they're not winning, they're very well prepared. Last year, Miami Dolphins, very well prepared, not winning. The Bills are winning now. They have, and we said this from the preseason, is it the offensive line? Why aren't they running the ball effectively? Because I look at their running backs, and they appear to have talent.
It's a good question. I think they just changed the philosophy. That's why they got Diggs. I know that everybody is kind of shocked that Diggs is doing so well. But the reason he wasn't happy in Minnesota is because he wasn't getting the volume. And then Buffalo traded a first-round pick to get him. So obviously they decided they're going to change their scheme from being a run-heavy team to a pass-heavy team. Hopefully that when necessary, they'll be able to run the ball. I do believe in Devin Singletary, and the rookie Moss. But so far we haven't really needed to do it. Neither have the Chiefs. We run it just enough to make the pass work.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's running back by committee. There's no real standout there. One of the things that I love about this Bills team is you're starting to get that magical feeling with Josh Allen, kind of like Mahomes, like, hey, we're down, but we're not out. Like, there's a certain mindset you have as a Patriot fan back in the day, anytime LeBron plays, and that's, we're going to the arena, we have a chance to win. Is this the first time in a long time that you're like, you know what, we can beat any team if we play well?
Well, as a Bills fan from, the 90s, I have PTSD. So for me, it's just like, when are we going to blow this? Like, no matter what.
Because you lost 4 Super Bowls.
Like, I take that into consideration. So I need to maybe change my mindset.
Okay, fair enough.
He just looks, he's like, I know it's coming.
Yeah.
The other
when is my heart getting broken?
But can I just say that if you make the AFC Championship, it's a great season.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'd be super happy with that. I'd be happy to win one playoff game. That's my goal.
One playoff game. Okay, before we get into more questions, got to ask you this. In my big money league, like you guys, I have 4 fantasy football leagues. Never do that again. I have PTSD on Sunday. My dad said the other day, you don't even enjoy the games because one guy, like I have Aaron Jones rushing, and then I'm going against him. So it's like, so my big question here is, do I start in my flex Antonio Brown of the Patriots or Eric Ebron of the Steelers?
I'd go with Antonio. I'd go with Antonio just because Ebron has been so inconsistent. But
Atlanta's defense not great.
Levi has a mathematical figure. No joke. He's literally made like an app type of like.
Oh, for the guys, yeah, I could look there. But
he's got a mathematical.
We're dealing with a beautiful mind from Russell Crowe. Levi is a beautiful mind when it comes to. And I can only assume he's got he doesn't have imaginary friends like Russell Crowe did, because if Levi's close to you, he really has nothing else going on. Because Rico doesn't know for anything.
Yeah, it might be coming.
Yeah. So again, he rates them, and he does his own personal rating on each player. So, and I mean, when he goes deep, he goes like 60 players deep. So who'd you like in that scenario?
No, I would go Antonio Brown, but it's a tough one. It's a tough one. You honestly can't go wrong with either. Well, I don't know. It's a crapshoot. Go with your gut on that one, because there's so many wide receivers.
Levi, I'm coming to you. It's like the Godfather goes to his consigliere and he says, "Whatever you want to do, Godfather." No, give me an answer.
You want an answer? Who's on the wire?
I'm going Antonio Brown. Just so you know.
What?
I just want some support.
If you're on the wire, then go with Antonio Brown. But I have a feeling there might be somebody else on the wire that's better.
There's no one else. I'm going with Antonio Brown over Eric Ebron. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm going Antonio Brown purely because he's going to get his number called. Ebron does get scrap plays. Also, you gotta.
Yeah, the thing is, Tom Brady is so adamant about making Antonio Brown work. He went to live with Brady. He's taken him under his wing. They're going to force feed him. So Mike Evans may not get as many touches, but Antonio Brown's going to get force feed. All right, Rico, throw out the Steelers. Who is your favorite player to watch in the NFL?
My favorite. It's not so much a player. I actually really enjoy watching sets. Like when you show a single running back set when they're like 10 yards in the backfield, I really like that. And it opens it up. I mean, I could say certain players like Kamara and all, but I like it like when it's a 5-spread set. That I really like seeing that on any team when they do that, or when they do when they go an extra lineman. I really like, and my favorite is the single running back in the backfield when they're, like I said. So I'm more of a set favorite type of guy over a particular player. So that's my thing with that.
I just want to tell people, I send Rico questions every week, and I love how he totally doesn't answer the question. He's like a politician right now. I'm asking you about a tax cut. I'm asking you about a tax cut, and you're talking about something else. Rico, who's your favorite player to watch in the NFL?
That's what all politicians do.
Actually, one of my favorite players to watch throwing the Steelers out and everything is I like Ben Roethlisberger, because he sits in that pocket and there's such a crowd of craziness around him, of 600 pounds of meat pushing each other towards to get him. And he sits in that pocket so relaxed, and he throws that ball. And every time I watch him, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to die. Like he's going to get crushed. And he just sits there, calm and smooth and Mr. Ice, and then he'll throw that pass. So actually watching Ben sitting in that pocket with that craziness is one of my favorite things to watch.
Again, I'm just going to repeat the question, not for Rico to answer, because he's not. Rico, other than the Steelers, who is your favorite player to watch? And what does Rico come back with? Big Ben. So again, okay, Levi, other than the Bills, maybe you could answer this. Who's your favorite player to watch?
It's really hard to pick a player. I was going to go with Kamara, but Rico sort of took that one. He stole it right from me. I just love how slippery he is, and his balance is just incredible. But other than that, take him out of it. I love Russell Wilson. He is unbelievable. Every single time he throws the ball, I am just saying, wow. Like, he doesn't do anything wrong ever. Okay, that's a little exaggerated, but yeah, I love Russell Wilson, and yeah, perfect. You cue me up because Aaron Donald is the second one. That guy is unbelievable. He's unstoppable.
I'm surprised, Rico, you didn't mention a defensive player. Do you get excited like about a lockdown corner, a linebacker who just blitzes all the time? Like, are you more of an offensive guy now or a defensive guy, Rico? I know because of fantasy, you love seeing points and guys. But if you have no one playing in fantasy, is there a defensive player that you really like? Wow, I could watch this guy all day.
Well, yeah, again, you're pulling me out of the Pittsburgh bubble, but really it comes down to I got to be true to who I am, and I love watching Minka Fitzpatrick. A, because he's a Jersey guy. He's originally from New Jersey. B, he lays helmet. Like, if you're going to catch the ball in the middle of every team, you need to know that you're probably going to get hit really hard and legally really hard. Like, not one of those, like, helmet to helmet, like, face mask to your chest, dropping you to the ground. And you most likely fumble or an interception because he's like number 4 on the interception list, and most of them are from hitting somebody and the ball bouncing in the air, bouncing around. They're not really like him cutting in on the pass. So, again, you ask me these certain questions that are Aaron Donald, he takes so much capital from other teams' offense. It's hard to not admire the fact that he gets triple teamed and still makes a mess for the other team. You know,
we're talking with Rico and Levi here. It's the Pittsburgh Steeler segment of the show because Rico refuses to talk about anything other than the Steelers. In our Christmas extravaganza, look how nice that is. Little horse-drawn buggy pulling up. I don't know if you guys saw the opening of the show, but I thought this was tremendously funny. And again, this is not what. No, yeah. But James Harden pulled into camp, and he's way overweight, and someone actually tweeted that James Harden is looking to get an Oscar because he's changing his body like Christian Bale for the role of basketball. I mean, James Harden has come into camp enormous, but I just thought that was funny. And I know you guys, obviously movie buffs, look at Christian Bale's transformation here.
Well, that's why he won the Academy Award for that role, didn't he?
He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. All right, Levi, before we get to Rico's picks, he's 10-4 on the year. Give us your Rookie of the Year, MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year.
Rookie of the Year is going to be Herbert for sure. MVP should be Mahomes, in my opinion, and Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald. He's unbelievable. I saw something saying that on 75% of snaps, he's double or triple teamed, and he is still just getting to the quarterback at an unreal rate.
I tried to have this conversation with him and tried to have different players, but I couldn't argue with that's it. That's the proof is in the pudding with all three of those players.
Now, listen, I remember Reggie White, and like he was double and triple teamed, and he was unstoppable. Reggie White got so much more publicity playing in Green Bay and Philadelphia than Aaron Donald is getting in LA. Why do you think Aaron Donald, the average fan, doesn't know who he is?
Because he's so good. He does it so consistently year after year. Everybody got used to it. So it's just like, oh, yeah, he's that dominant. But take him away from this defense. Yeah, Jalen Ramsey is amazing, but take him away from this defense, and they are nowhere near the top 10. Nowhere near it.
Well, also the difference between Reggie White and him is Reggie White had a mouth. Aaron Donald plays like Palomalu. He's not so much vocal after the game and whatnot. Reggie White loved the press, loved talking. He was his best hype man that he could have was himself.
Okay, so are we giving these two guys any recognition? Jamal Adams up there in sacks has been phenomenal with the Seahawks. TJ Watt, week in and week out, just makes plays. You're saying it's not even close?
I would say maybe TJ, but not Jamal. That defense is not – like he's been great, but the defense hasn't. So, like,
listen, they're leading the league in sacks over the last 5 years, last 5 weeks.
No, I agree, but the entire defense is still not good. They're one of the worst defenses in the league. So if you're going to be the defensive player of the year, you got to transform your defense into a solid unit, which TJ has done. So I would say he is in consideration, but he has so much help. That entire defense is phenomenal. It's not just him. In my opinion, there's not that many big names on the Rams. It's just him and Ramsey and a bunch of other guys that look great because they play with those two guys.
Yeah, I agree here with Andrea and Ariana. Listen, Aaron Donald, he's become a guy, like you just said, year in and year out. He could be the MVP every year, just like I think Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes could be the MVP every year. So definitely agree with that. All right, Rico, let's get to your picks. 10-4, winning a lot of people money. 9-4 Seahawks at the 6-7 Washington football team. First and foremost, Levi, please tell me you're starting DK Metcalf in your fantasy football league.
I am. Cooler heads prevailed. There's a saying.
Why are you shaking your head, Rico?
No, because the fact that you were right, and the fact that we were arguing about it. There's a saying that I just found out about this week. What is it again? Start
your studs. Start your studs. That's the saying. And I think George clinched it. We were going back and forth between DK and Akers, but if the ultimate Rams fan is not sure who the starting running back for the Rams is, I am not going to mess with it. DK it is.
Yeah. Here's the deal, guys. Here's what I'll say. Because Haskins is starting, not Alex Smith, they're going to turn the ball over. They're not going to be as efficient. There's going to be a lot of 3-and-outs. So, yes, I understand going with the Rams because they'll probably blow up the Jets. But DK Metcalf, you got to start him week in and week out. He's going to make plays.
Yeah. Start and forget. Set and forget.
Set and
forget. You set him in the lineup and forget him.
Okay, who wins this game, Rico, in the spread?
See, I like Seattle in this game, but you can't really go on what I'm saying because I'm going to be cheering for this week when it comes to fantasy football championship. I'm betting, I bet the Bills because we had Diggs. Now, did I feel how committed was I to the Bills? I don't know how committed I was, but I was committed to the players. I also was committed to Aaron Rodgers, which didn't cover, and I picked them, Green Bay, because I can't cheer against my fantasy players this week. So this week is not the week to follow my plays because they're not skewed they're skewed by fantasy football than pure money.
Rico, let me just explain how this show works, just so you don't know. It's a collaborative effort. So if you're confused about what to bet, you can send me an email. I send you the email usually Wednesday. You can say, "Hey Monte, let me pick this game instead." So this way, there's no confusion.
Well, I have so many players. I feel like I'll cross this road everywhere. I got 14. I am a professional and amazing fantasy football year-long player, as not as I am a daily fantasy football player.
And you were talking, Monte, about going up against yourself. Not only do we have 5 fantasy teams, I also pick every single game against the spread with 2 of my buddies. And I'm pretty much always going up against myself. And I don't mind at all. As long as I win in fantasy, I don't care about my picks against the spread. But I'm able to separate the two somehow.
But
Rico, in two of my leagues, I've had the most points. I'm in playoffs in all 4 of my leagues. So I don't know. You could say fantasy, you could say daily, you could say weekly, you could say monthly. I'm still winning.
Hold on. I didn't know that if I didn't like the games you sent that I could change them and pick my games that I like. I didn't know that was things. For the last 5 years, I've just been struggling through games you give me because I would not have touched the Rams all year or Pittsburgh. I didn't know it was an option. So today.
Well, now you know. We evolve. Okay, let's get moving here. Battle of Jalen Hurts and Kyle Murray, 2 do-threat quarterbacks from the University of Oklahoma. Arizona favored by 6. I think the Eagles are in for a world of hurt here, and I think the Cardinals win big.
I agree with you on that. I think the Cardinals win. I wouldn't say win big. I say they'll win by 10. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have he's going to be tested because they're going to stop him running and they're going to say, well, if you're going to beat us with your arm. And I don't think he's prepared to face NFL cornerbacks in that capacity just yet. He will one day, but I think that it's too soon for him to, he's going to have a shadow. There'll be a guy shadowing him all day. So I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to have the game. And again, skewed, I'm going against him in one of my leagues. So my vision of money this week is very skewed. I'm making one bet today, if any. And, so I don't really, and it's the Rams because I have no choice to bet that game because I told my friend we'd bet that game. So personally, I'm not picking any of those games, but I definitely like the Cardinals.
Look at that! Look at that! As a defensive back, as a safety, look at that.
We talked about it. Ex-girlfriends are ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, Mariota doesn't know how to check off on anybody. Just let's go with that.
Wow, you guys are just killing me. All right, finally, Rico, you've been totally useless in this segment, so let's just continue. 9-4 Browns at the 5-8 Giants. Baker Mayfield is 7-1 against non-division opponents.
He's playing lights out the last 2 weeks. I got to give him. I was questioning whether to start him or not on one of our leagues. But the Giants, you said it, they come in prepared. The spread is too big for me to be comfortable. I have nobody in this game, so this might be a game I might play. And I like the Giants, but I took the Giants last week, and it was kind of painful to watch. But they're a very prepared team usually. So I like the Giants in this game because I feel like they're just going to do the same thing I was talking about with the Eagles in the sense they're going to say, if you're going to beat us, it's going to be Baker throwing. We're going to.
Okay, so you're taking Seattle. You're taking Seattle. All right. You're taking Arizona, and you're taking the Giants.
Yes.
Okay, Levi, got to ask this question because I always ask Rico this. We have about 5 minutes left. I've never asked you this question. So you are the sports philosopher when it comes to fantasy football stats, numbers. What were you doing before Rico introduced you to fantasy football? And I got to tell you, I know this from knowing Rico all these years. He doesn't make your life better. Like, what happened? What were you doing with all these numbers?
First of all, Rico has enriched my life and continues to every freaking day. So that's first of all. Second of all, I was watching the Bills and only the Bills and division games suffering through not winless seasons, but terrible season after terrible season. And I didn't realize that I could pick my own team. I didn't have to rely on that terrible, Buffalo team that always loses. So, yeah, this has been a blessing, a big, big blessing, this fantasy thing.
It may be a little addictive, but you know what? He's taking it in stride, and he's, with 6 teams. It's not a lot for 2 people. Technically, we have 3 teams, each.
I just don't understand. Like a married couple, there's always going to be differences. You guys are partners in this thing. What happens if one of you feels strongly about someone and the other feels strongly? How do you decide who has the final say?
There's no final say. It's about it's a relationship like any other. Like you talk and you work it through until you come to a conclusion. Like nobody dominates the other one. You come to like a middle ground. So like with DK, like at first I was like, no, Akers. Rico's like, all right, if you think that. And I was like, well, let's talk to a couple more people. And other people said DK, other people said Akers. And then at the end, we're just like, you know what? It's the fantasy playoffs. We didn't get here with Akers, so let's just go with DK because DK got us here. And if he busts now, then he busts now. But that was just a conversation we had, and that's the conclusion we got to. And we'll live with it no matter what.
And you're one of the people we asked. We know people. You're the sports whisperer. So we had to find out you were one of a few people that we trusted enough to ask that question, and you let us know the direction.
The first 12 games, Kyler Murray kind of carried me. Then it was Justin Herbert. I started Kyler Murray today, even though Herbert had a good game, just for the simple reason he's the one who brought me. So if I'm going to lose, I'm going with my best. All right, Rico, it's that time every week where we get Rico's rant. People love this. Sometimes, maybe Levi can help. Maybe he'll just sit there and watch. But this is where Rico just basically goes off on a tangent. The floor is yours.
Well, my tangent is that I'm in Miami, and I'm shocked that I cannot believe that I live in a city where it is falling apart by COVID, and I'm living in a city where it's just so blind, and I feel I've been feeling normal. Like Christmas is going to be great. I am grateful. George said Merry Christmas. He had the Rocky shirt on. I love that Rocky IV. One of my favorite movies where it's not one of yours. There's nothing more I actually like, and it's kind of weird because even though it doesn't feel like Christmas in Miami because I haven't seen any lights or anything like that, it's made me feel normal. We went to go eat out twice. We were outside and we were safe and we had our masks because me and Levi are from LA. So we are like, we are in shock. After we ate, we were like, we came home, we showered. We're going for a COVID test today. That's how stressed out we are.
They were making fun of us. We threw our masks on. The second we left the restaurant, we threw our masks right on. Everyone's like, why are you putting it on? There's nobody around. I'm like, well, somebody might come around. But, things are different out here.
Somebody made fun of us for wearing our masks, and we were like, they're N95s. And they're like, oh, guys. We were like, now I understand. The rant goes into, I understand you complaining so much about Miami because I couldn't comprehend what you were talking about because it's so crazy in LA that I just couldn't imagine the freedom that people feel and have here. This is going to be like the next, I don't know. Maybe they're doing it right. Maybe they're doing it right for all I know.
Maybe they are. Maybe they are. Look, I know this. I work with 4 people who've gotten COVID. Only one has gotten really sick, but only the people in my department wear masks. No one else wears a mask. Even the people who've gotten sick and the people they work with, they don't wear a mask. So I'm like, how do you not wear a mask? You guys have wives, kids, families. Everyone in my department wears one. The rest of the building, no one wears one.
We talked to a guy yesterday. We were on speakerphone. He's like, my kid has COVID, but I should be good. You guys want to say – he's like, I want to see you guys. And we were like, no.
I don't – listen, here's the bottom line. If you just wear a mask for 2 months when you go out, we would stop all this. You wouldn't spread. The spread would stop convincingly. Listen, guys, love having you on. Want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, very Happy New Year. Listen, all these Christmas pictures. Thanks so much for joining the Full Monty Sports Show.
Monty, your sister sent a Christmas card to my family's house in New Jersey when I was there. It was the nicest thing. Even my father, and you know my father, he could be like an ice pick. And he was like, "Oh, that's so nice. Look at it. Wow, how nice."
Your dad has no emotion whatsoever. And he was complimentary.
He was so shockingly complimentary. He even opened it and looked at it. Wow. So thank you to your sister saying this.
I'll just tell you how the hierarchy works. My sister.
Good luck in your championships.
Thanks. I just want to say this. I'll tell you how the hierarchy works, Rico. My sister didn't send me a card, but she sent you a card. Okay, I guess Rico and Levi got frozen there. That's fine. Want to thank them. Listen, I want to thank John Meyer. I want to thank Chris Roseviglu. I want to thank all of you for watching, including George Lopez, Rico Show Me the Money Graziano, and Levi Charterow for making the Christmas Extravaganza Full Monty Sports Show special. My extra point is just a simple one. Look, guys, I really believe this. And I know you're going to think I'm crazy. I know you're going to think I'm a homer. But I got to tell you, Marcus Mariota playing in an offensive system, he played great. He can run. He had 85 yards rushing. He led the Raiders. Look, they lost because Justin Herbert and the Raiders defense was a disaster. But I'm still of the belief. I still believe that Marcus Mariota can be an effective player in this league. And it was great to see him come off the bench because he's such a good guy. It was great to see Justin Herbert. So that was my take for Thursday. Look, we had a great game Monday night with the Ravens and the Browns. We had a great game Thursday night with the Raiders and the Chiefs. Despite all COVID, despite everything, football. We said this about the NBA bubble. It was amazing, and the same thing is happening with football. Again, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want you all to have a safe, happy, Merry Christmas from the Full Monty Show. And remember, in the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.